Hey everybody, it's David Duford. Hope you guys are having a most wonderful Monday, June 10th, 2019. It is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I warmly welcome you to my every month recurring Q&A live stream where I take your calls live on the air via my conference calling software. I hope you guys are having a great day, and thank you for joining me once again on the call. So getting started here, it's really simple to ask the questions that you have. All you really need to do is go ahead and press 5, or is it 5-star? Let me double check my notes here. Yeah, 5-star will raise your hand. I'll be able to see your questions, and then I'll be able to answer any questions that you have as it relates to selling insurance or marketing insurance. So if you're listening on the conference call and you just want to listen, this is for those of you guys who are not on YouTube, don't press 5-star. This is only for those people that have questions that are on the conference. You can just press 5-star. I'll catch your question live and then brief you by the last 4 digits of your number when you're up to deck and ready to get going. So, hey everybody, cat in the hat, eggs, and more eggs. Good deal. So let me kind of give you guys a scoop on what's going on. I always like to kind of start these streams off with what's going on interesting or things that I've seen that are intriguing to discuss. As some of you guys know, I am getting back into some higher levels of personal production and kind of want to tell you my goals and what I'm looking to accomplish and really just kind of give you guys an overall perspective on what it is that I'm looking to do. Hold on one second. I'm going to look to see if I can get the right picture that I wanted to show you, which this one I think will be good. Perfect. Okay, I'll get to this in a second. In the meantime, I will be doing personal production probably for the next 6 months. I've got some personal goals that I have set to accelerate my goal of saving money. I'll tell you guys what it is. Saving money for a down payment on a new home, getting a new vehicle, as well as paying for a couple of nice vacations for this upcoming winter, and then also for the next fall season. I mean summer. Sorry about that. Boy, it got bright outside all of a sudden. Just can't quite make it perfect. Oh well, we'll go with it. So, anyways, you guys are going to see a lot more content with me in the car, me with agents doing ride-alongs and training sessions, and me just talking about my production in the field. So you get a lot more of that in the trenches videos that I used to do a lot more probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I plan on doing some production reports for you guys too. I'm sure you guys are curious as to what it is that I'll be doing, how I'll be targeting my business, what lead systems I'll be using, kind of how my strategy is to be set up. So I'm going to be doing some content probably over the next couple of weeks to get more in depth about that as well. In short, my goal is to be doing 30 appointments a week and writing 20 applications with a goal premium submitted of approximately $12,000 in premium weekly. I hit about, last week was my first week back in the field. I did 14 apps at 8,700, give or take. So I'm about 2/3 of the way there. And incidentally, my appointment volume was about 2/3 where it needed to be. So I know where my numbers are at. I know where I'm going. And I'm going to be happy to report to you the goals as I hit them and deal with the same things that you guys deal with day to day in the field with some consistent reports. So anyways, this is a Q&A section, a Q&A type of training. So what you're going to do is ask me questions, and then I will answer them as they come along. And let's go to the conference call. Guys, if you guys any questions in the conference call, just press 5-star, raise your hands. In the meantime, I'm going to hit some questions up here in the chat. So I'm going to start with Chris White because he is the first person here. His question is, hey, David, can you go over appointing setting today? I'm using telephone leads. Thanks. Okay, so I'm assuming, Chris, if you want to follow up, it would help me answer your question better, that we're just setting appointments to go face-to-face. Is that correct? If that's the case, then here's the script that I think is pretty basic, but it works fairly well in setting appointments to sell final expense. So Hey, Mrs. Jones, my name is David Duford. The reason I'm calling is because you requested information off of Facebook regarding our state-regulated final expense programs. My job is to deliver you the information you requested. It only takes 5 minutes to show you how this works. How would 10 o'clock tomorrow would 2 be better? That is the basic script of what I teach my agents to do. The things I want you to do is notice that I really don't pause a lot in the entirety of that script. What you don't want to do is do pregnant pauses where you have the person on the other end has the opportunity to jump in and intervene and try to direct control of the conversation. So make sure that you get comfortable saying that whole script without having to take a pause and breathing. Just takes a few times to practice it. You'll get it. Make sure that you're emphasizing you requested the information. It's my job to deliver the information to you. If you get a rebuttal, essentially the process I teach is to confirm it, answer it as briefly as possible, then sell the appointment and close the deal. So if somebody says, I've already got life insurance, what you do in response to that is say, hey, great, everybody I see happens to have life insurance. And the reason a lot meet with me anyway is they want to get a second opinion on what's out there. All I need is 5 minutes to show you how this works. Whatever you do with it is entirely up to you. How would 5 o'clock tomorrow would 2 be better? So it's the same exact process. And remember, when you hear an objection, don't hear the objection itself. Assume what you're hearing is resistance to an appointment. Because many times people throw out an objection. It's not really the true objection. They just don't want to go through a sales call. So you have to sell the appointment. So you have to hear it as if it was an objection to a sales call. And so you got to sell things like it's no big deal. Just takes 5 minutes. There's no obligation. Whatever works, whatever you do with the information is up to you. That's a great one to use. I sometimes, depending on kind of how I feel with the person, I'll say, if you like it, great. If not, you can throw me out. We'll still be friends. You know, if I'm trying to get a little wisecrack out of them. And then close. How would Tuesday at 5 or would 2 be better? And you can use that objection rebuttal script no matter what it is the objection is. Send me something in the mail. I'm not interested. I thought it was free. I'm broke. You can say something that's a quick answer and then go into selling the appointment. Hope that helps. Hey, Bob. Thanks for tuning in. James asks, how do you handle the do not call list if you have a SAN or rely on a dialer? That's a good question. I mean, most of what we do is outsourced to telemarketers. I don't do much cold calling, so I don't use a SAN. I'm pretty sure if you go online and do some research, it's going to be based off of the county. I really don't know, to be honest with you. I would call the dialer up that you're using and see if they've got references or advice on what to do. Most of what we do is lead-based, so it's less of an issue, or we outsource to telemarketing if they've already got the SAN issue. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining. All right. Hey, honey bunches. Zach says, how many of your appointments per week are you setting by your appointment setting service? What type of leads do you send them? So this, Zach, is probably referring to the preset annuity appointment setting program. So approximately for 300 to 400 a week, depending on how much telemarketing time you do, probably set around between 10, 12, maybe 15 appointments per week. 10 to 12 is a better expectation. That's definitely full-time, I think, in this business, between seeing people, running second and third presentation proposal appointments in conjunction with doing administrative work, designing proposals for your clients, that kind of thing. So that's what I would expect. And this is just for the annuity. I had somebody on my Facebook channel, Facebook page ask me if this was for other, like, final expense. I don't do anything like that. This is just for annuities. Probably would work just fine using the same system to sell final expense nonetheless. But annuities is kind of where everybody wants to be. And this is a great system because there's not a lot of lead systems that are at this price point, of course, and there's not a lot of ways to get in front of people at such an affordable price point and even just training on how to do it. So most annuity programs, you're either cross-selling your existing book of business, which we teach, or you're buying $100 to $200 leads, or you're doing $5,000 to $10,000 seminars. And a lot of people just can't tolerate that kind of risk associated with it. Hope that answers your question. If not, Zach, come back and ask for clarification. Chris, Steve, hey, how you doing? James says, what do you think about giving them a $10 gift card if they set? So here's the problem with that. The intent of the appointment matters, okay? I think it's arguable. At the bare minimum, I'd say you have to test it out, but it can be an expensive test. People will just see you because their intent is to get that $10 gift card. All right. That doesn't mean that they'll be willing to look at your business. And what I have found is that they may be willing to pretend as if they're interested and say, oh, yeah, I'll definitely look at this and maybe I'll be serious. But what about that gift card? So you got to watch out for the intent. That can ruin the wrong intent can ruin a deal and set you up in the wrong direction. Again, James, you're the one asking about the telemarketing, I think, right? Yeah. So I would say, or no, it's a different James. Okay. I would get better at just selling the appointment. That bribing them, it's not that it doesn't work. There's been systems I've heard of, not in insurance, where a bribe approach works fine. But if you get good at selling the fact that it's an easy appointment, that you're there to assist, you'll be on your way very quickly. I think that's where you want to spend your time developing your skill set. All else fails, bribe your way in. It's just going to be costly, and you're probably going to sit with people that aren't necessarily going to be interested. Now, of course, you can argue back that, oh, well, that's why I'm in there, so I can make them interested. Sure, that's fine. And there's definitely sources of leads that this works for. I mean, the Walmart gift card lead program for a final expense, I've had great success with. So it's not I'm arguing with you. It just depends. And you got to kind of have a feel for it and see what happens. And you want to test it over enough people. You don't want to do it once, twice, and be like, oh, these suck, I don't want to do them again. You got to do them for a while and kind of see what happens and then go from there. So 5-star, by the way, guys, if you're interested in asking me questions live in the conference, press 5-star, and you will have your hand raised, and then I'll answer you live on the air. Okay, Bob says, do you recommend any particular appointment setting company or outfit? If you want to email me at davidduford.com/contact, I'll reference you a few different options. I've got an internal option I think that works okay. It's not great, but it's not bad. I've also got 2 other groups that I've seen, haven't worked with personally, but I know do a good job. And I don't know what their information is right off the top of my head, but if you email me, I'll send it back to you. I'm not going to recruit you. Don't worry. It's not a ploy. It's just I'm not going to remember if you don't message me. Sen says, hey, Sen, what's up, man? What do you recommend saying if the lead says they want to come to my office? I would say, oh, well, that's fine. I mean, I work in my spare bedroom, and my job is to come out and see people face to face. All I need is 5 minutes. What you do with the information is up to you. How's Tuesday at 2 or 10 be better? So it's just almost like the same thing. It's an objection handling, right? Just be flat, flat out honest. We all are in our spare bedrooms, and you can say this like it helps us keep our cost of doing business for insurance lower, in some way to kind of make it sound like, oh, this is going to make sure I get the best deal. There is some kind of truth to that, right? I mean, State Farm isn't the cheapest deal on the block, and they've got a whole line of brick and mortars. They got to carry that cost to an extent. You can kind of rationalize why that would be the case. It's usually not a big deal, though. If they want to meet somewhere other than your house, first, that's a red flag. That's not always a good thing. But if they insist, meet at a public place, meet at a restaurant. If it's that they don't want you in their home, that's kind of a different scenario. But most people let you come in. Life appointment, sorry. Okay. Zach, yeah, I don't do that, Zach. So I don't do presets, but I mean, there's nothing stopping you from using the program to get life set appointments. You would just sell final expense. It could definitely work. And I can explain that further if you'd like. DRRCK11. Hey, Dave, I'm trying to decide if I should contract with Lincoln Heritage Senior Life. Any suggestions? So the first thing is just to understand what you're getting into. The pros of Lincoln Heritage and Senior Life is that there should be an office environment, and there's camaraderie. You should be and have access to trainers, people with experience. If you thrive in that kind of environment where you're surrounded by people in an office environment and you can kind of work with people and you like that, you don't mind that, Lincoln Heritage probably is going to have more of that than Senior Life. I'm not, from a technical salesperson standpoint in the final expense business, it's not that I'm not a fan of Lincoln per se. I just don't believe an agent in this business should have one product solution. I think several is better, and ultimately more is even better. And the reason is, I'll give you the perfect example. So I went out last week, I wrote 14 applications, okay? Let me tell you what I ran into. 4 out of the 14, no, 5 out of the 19 were guaranteed issue. If I had written them with Lincoln, you're already starting at a lower commission rate. And so the modified plan, which is what you'd end up writing them, would be even less than that. So you get a pittance, a fraction of what you'd be paid anyway. I'm paid a lot higher, but it's still less than my main contracts because I'm a broker. I've got access to more commission. The other thing is the rest of my business was Transamerica. And if you guys know, when you got to write Transamerica, it's not because you like them. It's because there's no other options. So, for example, let's see. I had a lady that took insulin, had weight problems, had some cardiac issues, blood thinners. I had another guy had COPD. Let's see what else. Another dude with COPD. If I had wrote with them with Lincoln might have gotten the first person approved level, but the other two would have been modified. And there again cuts your commission. And it's a death by 1,000 paper cuts, okay? And so that's why I'm an advocate that you've got to have options. And by the way, not only did I get paid more than I would have with Lincoln, I got them first day full coverage. I glossed over that. So I got them standard coverage from the first day, whereas Lincoln, maybe Senior Life, I'm not familiar with their underwriting, would have given them modified 2-year wait. And all I need is one of you guys come behind me replacing my business and then gossip about me on the internet how I'm a bad agent. So anyways, in all seriousness, you don't need Lincoln is definitely good for the right person. You can be successful at Lincoln. I just think you can be way more successful if you have a penchant for being an independent agent and having access to more carriers and a better commission and upside potential being independent. That to me is the ideal position to be in. You just have to be able to work hard, not have anybody manage you, be able to go hustle without anybody telling you what to do, and be okay on your own for the vast majority of the time. And that is not most people, to be honest with you. Hope that answers your question. Hey, Casey, what's up? Do you recommend any Facebook final expense lead vendors? I'm having trouble getting the amount of appointments I need. I'm buying 80 leads a week. Okay, Casey, try out, here's the ones I'm going to give you. tipstricksandclosers.com. Ryan is a great provider. Highly recommend him. There's a dude on Facebook. It's Jeremy Codavana. I haven't bought any leads, but I hear they're all right. You should not have any problem with any of those guys with enough area to fill a lead order. I'll talk more about what I'm doing with Facebook leads in another stream, but I'm getting way more than you are inside of a week. So I would be looking at one of those options instead. And here's the thing, Facebook leads should fill fast. If you're having fulfillment issues, which if 80 leads is your goal, but you want, if more is your goal, but you're only ended up with 80, then you need to try a new vendor because there are other vendors that maybe aren't as popular or aren't getting as much business that will be able to fulfill orders better. Just an idea. Hey, Stephen, in the book you bring to appointments that you refer to when you look for a carrier and pricing, what is exactly the book? Okay, let me think. In the book you bring appointments. Oh, it's over there. It's on my counter. I think I'm talking about the accordion file. So I have the accordion file that carries all my stuff in there. I carry my apps, I carry my brochures, applications, rate guides, that kind of thing. Okay. So let me check the chat, or let me check anybody here. Again, if you're on the conference call and you're popping in, 5-star. If you have a question, feel free to ask it. No taker so far. All right, Zach asks, or follow-up question. Yeah, I was referring to the setting service you talk about on your site/podcast to set life appointments for you so you can spend more time in the field. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my phone here. It's going up. My wife's calling me downstairs on why she's doing that. So anyway, yeah, I was referring to okay. Yeah, so we've got appointment setting services I can refer you to. I mentioned that earlier. You can reach out to me. I'm happy to help you there. But I don't have anybody setting up appointments. Real quick, I mean, all you have to do with this strategy, I mean, you could use the same strategy that we teach for annuities to just get in front of warm bodies, and you're liable to find a couple of final expense policies a week doing that. So it's there. It's just a generic, broad-based strategy to put you in front of likely final expense type prospects. James says, I don't like a bribe to fill lead. Just have 1/3 of the people who are interested but need that extra incentive. Yeah, I hear you. Do you go an hour window for your 5 to 10 minute meeting? So it's not really ever 5 to 10 minutes. It's just what we tell people. And yeah, if they say you got to get out of here, or you got to get out of here in 5 or 10 minutes, I can do it in 10 minutes. You can too, 5 minutes even, but it never is. We just say that to get in the door, because it can really last that long. If they got questions, it can go longer. So yes, you do need an hour because you'll probably spend that much, if not longer. Example, setting appointments 9 to 10, 10 to 11, letting them know it's a window because they're busy. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So what James is talking about is when you're setting your own appointments, it's critical that you book your appointments with an hour or even 2-hour arrival time window. This was a big game changer for me. It allowed me to go from 8 appointments a day to 15, okay? Even in working in rural areas, 45 minutes apart with direct mail. Not as easy to do with Facebook leads, as I've discovered, as I'll talk about more later. But what happens is that most of these people aren't rushing around doing anything, all right? They're just sitting around watching Matlock, Bonanza, and The Price is Right. They don't have a busy schedule, 90% of them. And if you book the appointment with the understanding that, hey, I might get stuck in traffic, an appointment might go longer than necessary, please give me up to an hour to get there. Or I'll be there at 9, but give me up to 10, just in case, if that's okay. Now you've given yourself basically an extra hour, okay? And I have found that, again, 90% of the time, that is completely 100% fine. For example, I ran an appointment the other day. I was literally 3 hours behind, and the lady was still sitting in her chair. She was there all day watching, I don't know, something on TV. She didn't go anywhere. And then prior to that, I was late 2 hours to one appointment. I drove an hour or two. And we got her up, woke her up, dragged her outside, and she sat and bought. In the other ones, I was about an hour behind. So I'm like chronically behind in all my appointments, and my show rate's pretty good. So some people got to go places. I had one guy yell at me or yell at my appointment setter that I was a jerk for making him wait, but whatever. Probably wasn't going to buy anyway. And that goes to a further point. What I have found is that people really are interested are going to stick around. The ones who disappear on a preset appointment usually weren't serious to begin with, okay? And they've been gone all day. They didn't just leave 5 minutes ago. They left. If your appointment's at 10, they left at 7:30, and they're not going to be home until 3:30, just in case they might run into you. Okay. Zach W. Hey, Zach, what's up, man? More carriers equals more policies. That's exactly right. I assume that I would have closed all those people had I only been able to offer them modified. That could be wrong. I might have offered some person a 2-year waiting period for them to just scoff at it. And they're like, I don't believe in insurance. It doesn't cover me. And then I go back and forth and not get it. So I might not have sold as many, not just made as much money from a per policy amount, but then not even sold as many because I didn't have the tools in my tool bag. Again, if you guys are new watching this, you've got to seriously look at being independent. And even if you've been brought into this whole game of final expense through a captive provider, even if you're good as a captive agent, you're leaving so much money on the table in commission differences, in replacements you're not getting because you don't have options to carriers, in just total volume that you're not getting, and pushing a product that isn't necessarily the best for your client all the time. So, it's my plea to you captive guys and those of you considering to look being independent first. It's not a right fit for everybody, but it is for a lot, especially if you're entrepreneurially minded. It's a lonely job, and you've got to have the work ethic and discipline to stay at it. Yeah, okay, great, Derek. CG, will you please advise me on life and health companies who hire agents to work remotely with hourly pay? Let me read this again. Will you please advise me on life and health companies who hire agents? Advise you on what? Give me some more background to that, CG. What are you having a question on? I'll give you advice on. I just don't know what your real question is. Hey, Alan, what's up? More companies give you the flexibility to really help more people properly. Absolutely. Again, I can think of one instance where 3 years ago, I had a client who had COPD and smoked. He was otherwise healthy. He was a car mechanic, and he still worked. He wasn't disabled or anything. And he was engaged to his wife in a little town called Somerville, Georgia. And they wanted burial insurance. I thought it was important. And I wrote him up with Transamerica Standard, which he was approved for because he was a smoking COPD person. Well, I got a call about a year ago, or a year after that, and the client had passed away. Not because of any complication from COPD, but because he had a colonoscopy. Yeah. And the surgeon teared his bowels in the process. So ripped out his guts, literally. So he bled out. He became septic. So his body was literally poisoned with the innards. And he died a cruel and unusual death. And on top of that, his family did not like the woman he was with. Took all of his stuff, left her with nothing. She was just miserable and just in bad shape. Had he died with a Lincoln Heritage Plan or any plan, again, I'm not biased against Lincoln personally or exclusively. If somebody sold the wrong plan to this guy that didn't give him first day full coverage, he would have only gotten his money back in a refund. Maybe he would have gotten $1,000, right? Better described. His fiance would have only gotten $1,000. I got her $9,000. Okay, his family paid for the burial, but she got $9,000 out of it, and that was kind of her last laugh against these family members of his that took everything that they owned together. At least that was her claim. So that's real, guys. That's like a real life story. I can't tell you how many times this has happened where if I had sold for a one-trick pony company, that my clients would have been on the short end of the deal. And it's not just some sales ploy. These are real people we're talking about. And the thing is, now that you know this, you have to always ask yourself, do I feel comfortable putting my head on the pillow at night, knowing I did the best job for my client? And some people can sleep just fine with it, I found. But I never could. I always wanted to be the advocate for my clients because I knew at the end of the day, if I do the right thing by my clients, I'll get paid really well. It's turned out to be pretty much the case. Okay, let me answer some questions here. CG, companies that pay hourly, not solely based. Oh, okay, working from home. Okay, I got you. So I'm going to ask your question again, or read it. Will you please advise me on life and health companies who hire agents? Yeah, I mean, so what are the options out there? I mean, you can look at North Star. They do final expense over the phone. They're based out of Missouri, I think, or St. Louis or Kansas City. You can set up a virtual office with them. They've also got an independent arm if you like the independent side of things and want multiple carriers. Otherwise, you got to sell one product, maybe two with them. But I don't know I think if they're straight commission, they actually charge you a desk fee or something like that. But yeah, I mean, one way to look at an hourly job is it's not a long-term solution, but it will give you awesome training. Because that's kind of what you have to look at it as, is that it's not like going to make you six figures probably, but you're going to learn a script. You're going to learn an attitude, not an attitude, but kind of you're going to learn how to work the phone. You're going to learn how to deal with objections. You're going to have people who are going to breathing down your neck and training you to be better. You're in the gauntlet, so I would look at this as kind of a 6 to 12 month commitment, because the nice thing is you can take the same skill set and go independent and make real money at a higher commission with leads. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Working from home. Okay, Alan. Wait, let me see if there's any questions on the. Nope. 5-star if you're on the conference. Not a lot of talk today. If you got questions though on the conference, 5-star will do it. Raise your hand and then I'll bring you on air. I try my best to avoid putting them in 2 to 3 year waits. More companies help you avoid that. Absolutely, 100%. James says, have you been captive before? I've done both. Good to see both sides. Yeah, I've never been captive. I am the type of person that would never do well in a captive environment. I'm not a good employee. I don't take orders well. I've only had a real job besides like delivering pizzas and stuff back in high school and college. The only real job I've ever had was working with Aramark, selling uniforms. And I hated that. That job sucked. So I wouldn't know what it was like to be captive, because to me, it looks like I'm working for somebody else. I'm not vested in a lot of cases 100%. I'm forced to write one company. I got to listen to a boss. Somebody's tying me down with lead financing. Stuff I don't want to deal with. I'm a kind of a difficult person in some ways. Okay. Brady, what's up, Brady? I've been having a lot of people cancel their policy within a week of submitting an application. I feel like my process is very thorough. What would you recommend doing to get policies to stick? Great question. Let me help you, Brady. There's a couple of reasons why people cancel their policies. Number one, you're selling the wrong company, just like we've been talking about. You're selling inferior coverage. So ask yourself, is what you're selling the best deal? If you're selling a high-priced, competitive product even, and I come behind you, I'm going to try to replace you, okay? And so will most people. That's my point. So, and a lot of these people will send in other ads or other leads. They'll respond to other ads on Facebook. So don't ever think that you're the only game in town. Act as if someone definitely will come behind you, because probably some of those replacements are. And a lot of times they just won't tell you. They'll just say, oh, it's just not going to fit my budget. Some other guy came in there and replaced it. Number two, are you selling to need first? So what I mean by need first is that, are you in a position to where you are matching the need of the budget or the budget of the client? Or are you pushing for a higher premium? Again, I think this is where a lot of agents go wrong. I don't care what I make on my clients. I don't. I have tried to care. I've tried to think of ways that maybe I can go up from a $45, $50 average to $70. Well, here's the deal. Your numbers are just your numbers, all right? And the thing is that you got to work with whatever you're given. And the solution to selling and making more money in this business is not necessarily pushing for a higher premium your client can't afford, but it's to write more business, okay? It's to submit more business, run more appointments, see more people. That's what your main focus should be on if the goal is to make more money. But you should strive because of the final, and I'm assuming you're in final expense, so correct if I'm wrong, Brady. What you should strive for is writing a policy that will permanently stick on the books. We can't help everything that happens, but we can try our best to make sure anything that we sell is permanently there as best as possible. So it's reasonably affordable for the client. I have an entire script, and I'll give you my script right now. This is what I say to do this. So I ask about need, want, health. I confirm that they've got a bank account. Here's what I say to get their budget. And I think this is critical. You got to have a budget before you proceed and making sure that they're 100% on board. So I said, my final question to you, Mr. Prospect, is about price. 9 out of 10 people that I see are on a fixed income. They're either on disability or they draw Social Security. The bottom line is there's no money tree out back. They get one check a month and they've got to make it stretch. And the reason I'm saying this to you, Mr. Prospect, is because the last thing I want you to do is to take insurance from me and drop it in 6 months when the heating bill's through the roof and it's winter again. That's a waste of money, don't you think? Why take policy out to drop it in 6 months? Spend it on something enjoyable. The truth is the best plan to have is the one that fits your budget, because that's the one that's going to be there when time comes and, you're gone. And that's the one that's going to protect your family. My question to you is this. If I can qualify you for a program today, can you afford somewhere between $80 and $100 a month? Shut up and then let them answer, and then back it down from there. I've got more training on that if you want to look at some of that pre-qualifying stuff. If you do a YouTube search, David Duford pre-qualifying, there's a lot more information. But the combination of that script, which really butters it up, right? They're like, oh, wow, this is a salesman telling me he's not interested in all my money. Really builds trust and rapport. You still ask for a big dollar, but you got the right to, because you're going to walk it down if you need to. And you're going to wait till they give you 100% affirmation, say, yes, I can do that. If they say maybe, probably, I think so, that's a no, and you need to go down a little bit lower. You don't want to push a maybe to a yes. You don't want to push a maybe within that price range to a yes. You want to drop it down and get a yes naturally. Does that make sense? Those two things, product selection and budget, make a tremendous difference. Hopefully that helps. All right. Hey, Zach, sorry, we're still misunderstanding each other. Yeah, I apologize. You recommended a life appointment setting service, wondering how much of your activity they're responsible for and what leads you give to setters in your employ. Okay, so I give them either Facebook leads or final expense leads. So what I'm talking about is final expense appointment setters, but they could probably set other stuff. And they're responsible for 100% of my activity. So one of the things I'll go into is that I run a preset appointment process only with leads. I don't really door knock that much anymore because I found for me, if I can line up a ton of appointments with enough lead volume, that's critical, then I'll make enough money. My return on investment won't be as good, but my volume will be much better. And frankly, it's a lot more enjoyable to just run a bunch of appointments, not worry about door knocking, know exactly where you're going to be step by step, day by day. And yeah, I'm not going to, get a $5,000 return or a $5,000 commission off of a $700 batch of leads and have a great return. But I might have a 3 or 4 to 1 return, but my production's 12,000. I'll take that because the volume overcomes my ROI. So hopefully that makes sense. CJ says, I'm new to selling insurance, but do not have a book of business. Yep, starting off like the rest of us. So just smile and dial, see the people. This is a business about surviving, because if you can survive for a couple of years, the money tends to take care of itself. People who stick around in this business full-time with full commitment tend to make okay money, if not good money. Hey, William, what's up, man? Do you find a lot of opportunity for annuity sales with final expense leads? What do I need to do to get up and running with the news? Talk to Jeff. Tell him you want to get Athene. He'll get contracted, then you'll get contracted. That's our primary carrier we use, Athene. And yes, there are tons of business inside of final expense leads. I think I talked to 2 people yesterday. No, 2 people last week. This is off of just 20 appointments that had annuities. So I know it's out there. As far as examples, more cogent examples, I had a guy that tripped over $250,000 that he wrote. He had another $250,000 come off of final expense leads, working Facebook leads. Doesn't matter, Facebook, direct mail, they're all out there. You just have to ask. That's the crazy thing. It's just sitting out there waiting to be had. And very few people are talking to these people about annuity too. It's not like final expense, what everybody asks about. All right, let's see this. Again, for you new guys jumping on the call here over the last 10, 20 minutes, if you have a question, press 5-star. That will raise your hand. James, again, do you send thank you cards immediately to solidify the sale and combat buyer's remorse? I have very high retention at works, Brady. Yeah, it just depends, man. I used to do that. I didn't notice a difference, so I just cut it out. Definitely, though, does it work? Sure. I mean, I'm sure it does. It's just one thing that I don't do. But I know a lot of guys that do it and do fine doing it. So I'm not going to say don't do it. And it's not that much of an extra cost or time commitment. But yeah, I mean, if you're selling 5 to 10 policies, it's just going to take you 30 minutes to line up some thank you notes. So yeah, give it a shot. I think though retention is going to be less about the thank you card and more about how you sell and what you sell. That's going to be the Pareto principle, the 80% that you should be focused on. Hey, Mike, what's up? Mortgage protection lead question. I saw your short videos going door to door. How would you convert to get appointments at the door? So I would say, hey, Mr. Prospect, my name is David Duford. I'm here because I noticed that you guys just purchased your new home. Congratulations. I just wanted to introduce myself. I actually help people who just bought their new home get a product that wipes away any sort of mortgage that you have so that you don't have your family with the burden of your mortgage having to pay it if you happen to pass away. It's a cool program. It's totally different than probably what you've seen. I'd like 10 minutes to show you how it works and wonder if now's a good time or if I could call back or if I could set an appointment for a later time. Something like that. Very simple and to the point. I would go into the courthouse, pick up the leads. You can also go into a brand new neighborhood. If you know there's a lot of development coming in with brand new places, go prospect cold. You don't even necessarily need leads because people in new houses usually have a lot of new debt. And they're people that are really good to talk to. Great, Zach. I'm glad that helped. Hey, William, what is the going rate of pay for appointment setters? Is it different for lead sources? So they all want to use fresh, exclusive leads. They don't want you buying aged leads, old leads, that kind of thing. The one I work with is $18 per appointment. Some 15 to 20 is about what I would expect. Some are going to charge you regardless if they show up or not. Others will just charge you only if they show. Some require deposit, some don't, but somewhere in there is about right. Hey, what's up, Gordon? Dave, just to clarify on a point you made earlier, so focus on business that sticks, which translates to volume, which will lead to a good ROI. Yeah, I mean, that's just good business acumen anyway. which yeah, good business doesn't necessarily translate to volume. A hell of a lot of activity with good business acumen and a good approach typically translates to a hell of a lot of volume. Does that make sense? So it's more of a volume is equivalent to activity. The quality of that volume is based off of the quality of your sales presentation, your ability to match the need of the client, and then also to have options for insurance, options for final expense carriers. If you guys sell other carriers, it may be less of a product-oriented situation. Certainly selling it the right way still matters, but you also got to be in a situation where, you sell the right product, that you get a good price for your clients. So, but if you can nail that down, then it's just a volume game. It's an activity game if you want to make more money. All right, let's see if we've got some questions here. Oh, good. I got a question. I'm excited. Let me put my earphones on. So this is the first question on the conference call today. This is 1049. You are unmuted. Please state your name and question, please.
So this is the first question on the conference call today. This is 1049. You are unmuted. Please state your name and question, please.
You there? Okay, sounds like we're not there. All right. Just hung up on us. Okay, that's all right. Okay, call back if you need to, and we'll do it then. Okay. So back to the questions in the chat. Alan says, how do you handle those people that say they're fine with life insurance they bought 2 years ago? What you say is, that's fine. This is totally different. All I need is 5 minutes to show you how this works. And look, if you don't want it, that's fine. Kick me out of your house. We'll still be friends. Can I come in? Something like that. It's just the kind of same objection handling. You're not asking them to buy. You can tell them that much too if you want to. But the idea is just to say, hey, cool, that's great. This is different. This is worth looking at just to see what else is going on out there. You have no obligation whatsoever with me. Can I come in? Make it easy for them to let you in. Make it not a big deal. Make it, and say easy. It's easy. It's no big deal. I'm just doing my job. You requested the information. These are all powerful words to use. Okay, I got something to show you guys here. You guys hear that out there? Jeez, crazy people. Are those my kids? Okay, so I'm going to show you a picture here and kind of give you a little background because it's interesting. This business is really weird. But it's instructive about what I'm going to show you is kind of like how this business is. So I take you to my desktop here where I find my camera button. So you can see in this picture, this is a home that I went to last week. It is on the backside of a mountain in a town called Dunlap, Tennessee. It's down a dirt road, and you can tell this house has got a pretty brand new roof, tin roof, but otherwise it's pretty much a shack. Inside the house, there's 2 beds in the living room, like hospital beds. The woman never got up off the floor one time, or got up off the bed one time. It's about 9 or 10. The house probably hasn't been swept in 2 or 3 years. It was just filthy. There was a blanket over one of the hallways to keep the heat in during the winter. They never bothered to take it down, though. And there's a bunch of garbage strewn out in the backside there. Now, I show you this picture because it's easy to look at this and say, what a bunch of deadbeats. Final expense, these people don't have any money. They're not interested in anything. Why would you waste time with these people? A lot of people look down on the final expense agent. They think, oh, they peddling crap. So here's the deal. Again, I'll show you this again. If you're watching this, I have closed $3,000 in business out of this shack between the husband and the wife. I have never seen the wife out of bed once. It's all guaranteed issue business, by the way. Nor have I seen the husband with a shirt on ever. And their direct express business. Now, it's for you smarties out there. It's not 3,000 I've written after it's lapsed like 4 or 5 times because it's direct express. It's been pretty persistent. I've just added on think 6 policies total. So this dude here is paying $3,000 between himself and his wife for his life insurance. And the moral of the story here, guys, is that you cannot judge the people that you're running business with. There are just people you would never imagine that will buy. And because if you just run your appointments, if you just run your scripts, if you just do your job and don't prejudge the people that you see, you'll write business in all sorts of strange places you'd never imagine. And this is definitely one of them. So I wanted to show that just to be, I thought it'd be instructive, especially for you guys that are brand new to the business and you don't kind of know what you're getting into. Clearly not always will you sell this much business, but dude, if I was rolling up on this first time, I'd be like, shit, what the hell am I getting myself into? Apparently a lot of money. All right, let's see if there's more questions here in the chat. All right. Alex, what's up, man? Mr. Alexander. Dave, you have used lead company that provides both lead and preset appointment setting service. I'm sorry. Dave, have you used a lead company that provides both lead and the preset appointment setting service for one charge? Instead of buying leads and then yes. It's just hard. It's just really hard to find an organization that's going to do a good job of it. My experience is a lot of them are just really frustrating to deal with. They set wood. When I mean wood, that's vernacular for garbage, shit appointments, in other words. And I just never have found a good one. The only way to make it work is if you find a good telemarketer and hire them to cold call for you in the set appointments. And to use a strategy where you give free information away. You know, like the strategy we use with appointment setting is we show seniors state and federal benefits that are available to them they may not be aware of. This is a free service. It just takes 10 minutes to show you how it works, and we give you a free brochure about all the details. That's the premise of our appointment. You can set 1 or 2 appointments all day with a strategy like that, and with the right list, you can target all sorts of final expense people and or prospects, and you'll find that some of them are going to have Colonial Penn, AARP, Lincoln Heritage, or no insurance, and you'll be able to offer opportunities to make sales. That's what I would do if I was relying on cold calling, is that I would just set a basic free giveaway where I educate with a useful service and then transition to a conversation about life insurance. Again, the interesting thing about life insurance is that the vast majority of our prospects aren't looking for insurance. Some of the best sales come from that. And what I meant to say was the vast majority of our opportunities are people who are not looking. So that's why these methods work. Could you call them a bait and switch? Sure, I guess you could. I mean, you are going in there and delivering information. And when you're there, you're going to ask them, oh, by the way, can I talk to you about, what you're doing with your life insurance or Medicare or annuities in this case or whatever. But it works. And people are happy to do that because you've built rapport and trust with them. And if they don't want to, then fine. You're not going to force them against the wall and make them give you it. So, but that's the strategy I would use. Get a decent telemarketer, American-based preferably. And you could use an offshore person. Just make sure they speak well and they've got good nuanced English. And fire away. That's exactly what I would do. 100 a month easy, yeah. That was the first round, James. Got a little bit more in a second and third. Alan says, I am past the warm-up, and I'm usually already in a house, and I found out they already have life insurance and fine with keeping. Okay. So, man, Alan, this is so situational. It's really hard to diagnose this problem for you. Why don't you do this? Reply back in the chat and tell me what would the last call you went on, what insurance they had, how long they had it for. And then I'll kind of tell you what I would do, because this is so situationally based. Because you can replace coverage that's, in a lot of circumstances, definitely not always, but recap the last one and I'll be able to help you out a little better. I see money when I roll up in houses like that. Absolutely, man. I always joke, but it's true. When I see trailers, I see dollar signs. I wish I could see trailers all day, as opposed to seeing $300,000 McMansions. I get sick to my stomach. But you shouldn't get sick to your stomach because that might be annuity money. All right. James says, is there a way to buy leads from telemarketed life insurance companies that have leads but never answer? No, I don't think they do anything like that. You just have to buy your own. I know what you're talking about. I don't think it exists. Hey, Sylvia, what's up? I purchased Facebook about 30 to 45 days ago. Should I call or door knock them? Door knock them. Definitely go door knock them. That's probably the best bet. I think Facebook leads are great to door knock. There's a lot of them that won't pick the phone up anyway. But it's been long enough that they may have forgotten. And here's the other thing. They may have already bought. The buyers probably clicked on another ad and had another guy come out. And this is your perfect opportunity to come in and try to replace it. Maybe get them a better deal. Hey, Rebecca, what's up? I'm new to this business. What is your schedule as a full-time final expense agent? When do you call and schedule, and when do you schedule your appointments? Yeah, it's okay. Real simple. So let me give you what I call the John Duggar approach to this business. I did an interview with John Duggar. You can find it on YouTube. David Duford, John Duggar into YouTube search. It's a 3-part series. John likes to talk a heck of a lot, but the good news is that he is a wealth of information. What John teaches, or what John does, is he calls Mondays to set up his appointments Tuesday, 6, 7 appointments, something like that. Then he calls Wednesdays to set up appointments on Thursday, usually less than Tuesday, because he's not going to have as many available leads. So then he plans on door knocking a little bit more on Thursday. And if he hasn't hit his numbers by then, he'll go out on Friday and kind of wrap up the deal, but also deliver policies throughout the week as well. He hand delivers policies, something I don't do, but is worth doing because it gets you more referrals. So you're going to call at 9 to 11, book appointments for the following day, call again mid-afternoon, and then definitely call if you're not booked between 6 and 8 o'clock at night. Repeat that Wednesday for Thursday, and then set appointments every hour, hour and a half till you're full as you want to be, and you hit your numbers. And then Friday is admin day. You send in, fax your apps, deal with any kind of issues that have come up, like lapses, questions clients have, deliver policies, that kind of thing. So that is a typical schedule. If you're taking 20 to 25 leads a week, it can change dramatically. Ryan, who's wrote $14,000 in final expense last month he did $42,000 in final expense, an agent of mine. He has an appointment setter I hooked him up with. He takes 80 leads a week. He saw 37 appointments and wrote 24 applications, I think, something crazy like that. So, but he only door knocked for 2 appointments, and I think he closed both. So he does very little. But for the most of you getting started, my first description there is what's going to happen. Hey, Jeff, what's up? Do you get any renewals at all for final expense? Yes. Yes, it's usually street is 5, 6, 7%, and 6 or 10 is about the same, if not slightly lower. It depends on the carrier contracts. Jeff, if you want to email me, I'll get you those carrier grids or commission grids, and we can confirm what yours are at. But that's about approximately. Most of them are at, give or take. Rebecca says, also, do you schedule appointments on Sundays? Yeah, you can. My current appointment setter calls on Sundays. I'm real lucky. Sunday's a really good day to call between 4 and 7. And we booked a bunch of appointments. And you'll get people who otherwise never pick the phone up because they don't expect a salesman to call. Can you set appointments those days? Sure. I live in East Tennessee. I'm in the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. And calling Sundays is fine. Would I get resistance on Sundays? Maybe some people, but I doubt it. Not in final expense. Probably all right. Okay, Rick says, I'm getting on 200-year-old direct mail leads. You sure 200 years? So 1819. Did Andrew Jackson send it a card? Maybe it was 200-day-old direct mail. I'll let you reply back to that. Have work because of health issues. Okay. Welcome back. I'll wait for your response there. Let me see if there's any calls. If you guys are listening on the conference call, 5-star raises your hand, and I'll be happy to answer your question live in the air. You're welcome, Rebecca. Gordon says, Dave, I'm hearing today about a lot of other types of leads. So if cash flow, no problem, can I do a direct mail 100%? The first words I heard from you were direct mail is king and it suck. Absolutely. Put blinders on, Gordon. If you've got proper financing, all you want to buy is direct mail, bar none. Facebook is popular because it doesn't require as much startup capital. I can buy 50 Facebook leads for $750, and I can have them Wednesday. If I buy 50 direct mail, it's going to take me a month. But the difference is direct mail is more in line with a final expense market. For whatever reason, people who send back mailers tend to be more often final expense type people. Now, I used to argue that with Facebook not being as good quality, but if you work with the right vendor, they're close in quality, but direct mail is still king. Again, every top producer I deal with, really, truly, all top producers can do anything, can do well with anything. But if we want the odds really stacked in our favor, especially if you're new like you are, direct mail is just a better outcome. And you don't need to gamble with what works, especially in the beginning. And that goes for the rest of you guys too. And I know you weren't, Gordon, but I'm just saying. It's pretty important. Okay, let's see here. Kind of rounding down the live stream here, so it's a good time to ask any last questions, anything at all about anything life insurance related. If I missed your question inadvertently, you're welcome to ask it again. Alan said it is, and for you guys on the conference, 5-star, raises your hand. This is the last call for questions there. Alan says, it is the people that only had life insurance for 2 or 3 years and there was no cash value to work with. Your only option is 1-for-1 swap. How do you swap them? You just got to show them a better value. So the nice thing about what we do is we sell homogenous cookie cutter products, meaning a whole life policy with X company is the same as it is with Y company, as long as the person medically qualifies. And that's where there's an advantage. If they only qualified for modified or 2-year wait, maybe you have something that's a first day full coverage option. You should be able to sell that. Maybe you sold somebody who was clean sheeted. Some agent BS the application. I saw that last week. Guy wrote a specific company, answered no to everything, and the guy had literally like 3 or 4 of the knockout questions yes. And it's because this agent knows that this dude was in the VA, and he goes to the VA, and they don't report it to the Medical Information Bureau, and it ended up that he was basically screwing this guy. So there's stuff like that you can do replacements on. It just depends, man. A lot of it's going to be on saying, hey, why not, if you're going to be carrying life insurance, why not maximize the amount of coverage you got? So if you've got 50 and you're with X company and it's 10,000 in coverage, but you can get 12,500 for 50, you need to sell while you need to maximize your dollar amount, because inflation's crazy. It's driving everything up, and funeral costs are no different. And you need to get the best deal so your family's not in a position where they got to throw out a little bit of money. You can completely remove that with a better price plan or better utilization of your money, if that makes sense. All right, guys, so I think that's it. If you guys have any last questions, this is the time to ask them. I appreciate you guys coming on the live stream. It's a different time, different day. Again, I'll look forward to more content from the field. We're going to be doing, again, some personal production. In probably a week or two, I'm going to go into a detailed analysis of my sales system and what it is I'm doing. I've kind of just teased what I'm doing, but I'm hoping to have you back on another recording where I get to share with you exactly how I do what I do, what my goals are, and what I'm intending to do. And then I'm going to show you actually as I do it, as I deal with the ups and the downs of the business, so you can get the inside scoop of what it's like when I go out and sell and the things that I experience, which is very much the same things you guys do. What's the average cost of a funeral expenses out there in California, Jeff? Is probably 10 to 15,000, 7 to 10,000. Flyover country, probably about average. I recommend most people just pick up 10,000 if they're in their 50s or 60s. But if they can't afford it and only can afford 5 or 7 or 3, or like last week, I wrote a $1,500 deal. Am I going to skip that up? Hell no. $1,500 is the down payment to get in the door. A lot of these funeral homes, they ain't going to do anything. They'll just let you sit in the fridge until you family pans up some cash. I'm telling you, I've heard these stories. I had one lady, she said, my family member, my uncle was in so-and-so funeral home for like 3 or 4 weeks. I was like, damn, really? Yeah, we had to go do car washes or GoFundMes or something. I was like, oh, okay. So, look, use anything you can to get anything on the books. People need coverage that we see. So it's really important. So, okay, guys, thanks so much. And we shall see you sometime next month doing the same thing. Y'all take care. Bye.